The story starts in 1989 in Paris. We see a boy in a dark underground tunnel, painting on the wall while listening to music. Suddenly, he hears a loud noise. When he turns on his flashlight and looks around, he sees someone approaching him in the dark. The closer this figure gets, the more terrified the boy becomes. Panicking, he runs and hides in a small cave, hoping to save himself. But whatever it was, it grabs him from behind, drags him out, and kills him brutally. All we hear are the boy's terrified screams echoing in the darkness. Then, the scene shifts to 1992 in Paris. We meet three friends, Sonia, Max, and another unnamed friend, talking about how their studies are over. They plan to visit a place that's different from anywhere else, somewhere nobody has explored, where they can record everything and discover what lies there. As they talk, a boy named Rami, who is a dealer of chemical substances, enters the bar. He heads straight to the bathroom, and Sonia, being his friend, follows him. In the bathroom, they chat, and Sonia takes 2 packets of chemical substances from him. They also discuss an upcoming party before Sonia and her friends leave to go home. The 3 friends were like a family to each other, having no one else. Unbeknownst to them, 2 mysterious men are watching and following them from outside. Oblivious, they return home and fall asleep. Sonia suddenly has a terrifying dream where these men break into their house. One of them starts attacking, while the other man kills Sonia. Just like when you dream your alarm clock is ringing, but wake up to realize it's just a nightmare, except way scarier. Sonia wakes up in a panic, but then she realizes it was just a bad dream and calms herself down. The next day, Sonia and her 2 friends are all set and ready for their adventure. They pack everything they need, including a camera, as Max wants to record their entire journey. As they head out, they meet Rami, who is joining them on the exploration. Rami tells them about an old metro station with a tunnel next to it that leads to an underground area full of more tunnels and caves. Excited, they decide to go there to explore. As they walk, Max, who is a little nervous, asks Rami whether the underground place they're headed to is safe and worth visiting. Rami assures him with a smile, saying that the place is amazing and they'll feel completely free there. Just like when you tell your friend, "Don't worry, it's only a tiny roller coaster," right before the giant drop. After passing through a tunnel, they reach a small cave. Rami tells everyone to enter one by one. They squeeze through the cave and finally arrive at the underground location, where it is pitch dark. Thankfully, they brought flashlights, as it was the only way to see anything in the eerie underground space. Their exploration has just begun, and they are about to uncover whatever mysteries this dark, hidden place holds. As the group moves forward, they notice a lot of smoke coming from one spot. To their surprise, there are already some other people gathered there. As soon as the 4 friends approach, those people tell them to raise their hands. They even claim to be policemen, making the group nervous. Since it's dark, they can't see them clearly. But when they come closer, it turns out these people are just Rami's friends playing a prank. Just like when your friend says, "Look behind you," and it's nothing, but you jump anyway. Relieved, they all sit together and start partying. Rami talks with one of his friends about going to a famous place known as the White Zone. Sonia becomes curious and asks Rami about this place. "What is it like? Tell me more," she insists. Rami replies, "It's the best spot around, but very few people ever go there. Some say it's scary. There are lots of spooky stories about it." While the group chats, Sonia's friend starts talking to Rami's female friend. The girl explains that the only reason she's here is because her brother went missing in this place, and she's come to find him. She's not exactly thrilled about being here. Sonia's friend relates to her, saying, "I don't live with my mom and dad either. My family is really just Sonia and Max." Sonia feels happy seeing them bonding, so she starts filming them on her camera. After a while, the 4 friends get ready to explore the next area. Rami has a map guiding them, and as they walk, he mentions that they are now under some of the largest buildings in Paris. As they move further, they start hearing voices. They freeze, trying to stay quiet. One of the people whose voices they hear suddenly steps out and starts using the toilet right there in front of them. Just like when you're trying to have a private moment, and someone opens the door, awkward. The friends feel disgusted and push the man away, running in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, the group is chased by the people and eventually gets caught. Turns out, This is a gang of gangsters, dangerous and aggressive. Their leader approaches Sonia, grabs her by the hair, and begins hitting her, after tormenting her. He moves on to the others and starts beating them up too. But in a brave moment, Sonia grabs a gun and points it at the leader. She shoots near his ear, which frightens everyone, including the gang members. At this point, Sonia seizes a moment and tells her friends to run. Though they've escaped, the four of them are extremely scared and realize they've lost their way. They desperately start searching for an exit but end up in a place with a lot of water and even more rats. Just like when you turn on the lights in the kitchen and see a mouse, but multiply that by 10. Feeling uneasy, they keep moving and eventually find themselves in a new area. Here, they see iron handles attached to the walls, meant for climbing up. When Rami tries to grab one of the handles, it breaks off the wall. They quickly realize that they can't escape this place easily. Moving forward, they stumble upon one of Rami's friends. Rami asks him how to get out. The friend points them towards a tunnel. One by one, they crawl through the tunnel and finally reach the other side, only to find more people waiting there. What lies ahead for them remains uncertain, but their adventure just keeps getting darker. The darkness was overwhelming, so the group moved forward with their flashlights on. Suddenly, Sonia's friend stepped into a round wheel, which was actually a trap. Someone had set it up to catch trespassers. He got stuck, hurt badly, and screamed in pain. The group rushed to help and managed to free his foot from the trap. But then, out of nowhere, Rami's female friend grabbed a bag from him and stormed ahead. Despite Rami shouting for her not to go alone, she didn't listen. They soon found a small opening and thought it could be their way out. They carefully helped Sonia's injured friend through it, but suddenly, the place collapsed. Luckily, they managed to pull him out just in time. Just like when you think you're finally leaving work early, and then your boss gives you one last task. Now, they had to track down Rami's female friend. As they moved forward, they stumbled upon another trap. This time, they spotted the wire and stopped. But then, terrifying growling noises started coming from behind them. Fearful of whatever was making the noise, they hurried forward, avoiding the trap. The growling grew louder and more intense. At the back of the group, Max, who was recording everything on camera, finally saw what was chasing them. It was a wolf. However, the others couldn't see it. Max, shaken and panicked, caught up with the group. They asked him to show the footage to see what had been behind them. But Max, too scared to admit the truth, lied and said he hadn't recorded anything. Instead, he nervously lit a cigarette while the others looked at the map, trying to figure out their next steps. That's when Max noticed a nameplate on the wall. His face turned pale as he said, "Do you know where we are? We're in the White Zone." They were shocked to realize they had entered a German bunker from World War II. The Germans had used this underground place to hide during the war. Despite their fear, the group felt a bit of hope, just like when you find an umbrella after getting drenched in the rain. Max led the way, searching for an exit, with the others following closely. They entered a room and switched on the lights. Inside, they found equipment from World War II, untouched and still in place. As they explored, they suddenly heard a noise. Someone was coming. When they checked, they were horrified to see Rami's friend in a terrible state. One of her hands was missing, her face was covered in blood, and she was completely injured. It was clear that someone or something had viciously attacked her. Most likely, it was the wolf. She was crying and begging for help. But before they could do anything, the wolf appeared again and attacked her savagely. Max, terrified, slammed the door shut. The group could only listen to her screams as the wolf brutally tore her apart, killing her. All four of them were paralyzed with fear and filled with dread. They sat down, trying to think of a way out of this nightmare. As Max checked the remaining supplies, he pieced things together. He realized that the German soldier who had lived in this bunker during World War II was probably about 18 years old back then. Now, he would be around 64 years old, and it seemed he had never left. All his belongings were still in the same condition. While they were discussing what to do, Rami found a large knife in a box. The tension and fear among the group grew as they realized the danger they were still in. Suddenly, Sonia's other friend called them into another room, and when they arrived, they were shocked beyond belief. The entire room was covered in blood. There were piles of corpses everywhere, and pieces of human flesh scattered around. Rats were nibbling on the flesh, which made their stomachs churn with disgust. They stood frozen, wondering who could have done this and what was really going on in this horrifying place. Just like when you open your fridge and realize your leftovers have turned into a science experiment. As they stood there in shock, they heard the wolves growl again. Panic set in, and they started running as fast as they could. The wolf had spotted them and was now chasing them. Somehow, they managed to get to the other side of a door. One of Sonia's friends quickly closed the door behind them, but the wolf grabbed his leg through a gap. In a terrifying moment, the wolf bit his leg and ripped it clean off. Blood poured everywhere, but the three friends somehow managed to pull him to safety. Now, they could see the wolf more clearly. It looked monstrous and terrifying. But just as suddenly, a whistle echoed through the air, and the wolf turned and ran away. Relieved, they brought their injured friend into a room and laid him on a bed. He was in immense pain, barely able to move. He began reminiscing about the old times, his face filled with sorrow. Meanwhile, Sonia and Rami whispered to each other about what they should do. They were debating whether they should leave their injured friend behind, worried about how they would manage to escape with him in such bad condition. Unknowingly, the injured friend overheard their conversation, and tears started streaming down his face. He felt utterly heartbroken, but then they came over, trying to reassure him, saying, "Don't worry, we'll definitely come back for you." With that, they said their goodbyes and left him in the dark room. Alone now, their friend turned on the night mode on his camera, which allowed him to see in the dark. But as soon as the camera was on, the sight was horrifying. There was a ghost in the room. It was dressed in a German soldier's uniform, the ghost of a soldier from World War II. The ghost attacked Sonia's friend, and in moments, he was dead. As Sonia, Max, and Rami were leaving, the ghost of the German soldier appeared in front of them. They saw its terrifying face and ran for their lives. But the ghost started chasing them. In the chaos, Rami accidentally stepped into another trap. The trap triggered a blast, and Rami was blown to pieces. Max and Sonia, now the only ones left, were utterly terrified. Just like when you're the last two standing at a family reunion, and everyone's asking about your personal life. They headed back to the hole from where they had first entered, but to their horror, the exit was blocked. In desperation, they threw a bomb at the blocked entrance, hoping it would clear the way, but the bomb didn't explode. Before they could react, the German ghost appeared again. Max, in a brave but futile attempt, fought the ghost, but the ghost quickly overpowered and killed him. Finally, the bomb exploded and the hole opened. Sonia didn't waste any time. She crawled through it and reached the other side. However, what greeted her there was even worse. Piles of corpses. She was already terrified, but now she felt like she was losing her mind. Still, she gathered herself and kept moving forward. But the ghost was still after her. As Sonia ran, she encountered the gang of criminals who had captured her earlier. Just then, the ghost appeared again. The gangsters, thinking he was some sort of officer, saluted him. Just like when you're trying to impress your boss, but they're actually about to fire you. But the ghost didn't care. He killed all of them in one swift blow. Sonia took the opportunity to escape, running as fast as she could until she reached the place where the iron handles were installed for climbing up. Her nightmare was far from over, but she was determined to survive. Sonia started climbing up the handles as fast as she could, desperate to escape. But just then, the ghost of the soldier appeared again. He grabbed her leg and yanked her down, pulling her into the darkness. He started strangling her, his cold, ghostly hands tightening around her neck. But Sonia wasn't giving up. She grabbed a metal handle lying nearby and struck the ghost with it. The blow sent him falling down, momentarily injured. As soon as she got free, Sonia kicked the ghost repeatedly, weakening him further. She wasted no time and quickly began climbing up the handles again. When she reached the top, she saw at the exit. Relief washed over her. But that relief was short-lived. Unfortunately, the exit was blocked by thick iron grills, trapping her inside. Desperate, Sonia started shouting for help. She screamed and cried, hoping someone would hear her. But no one did. It was as if the world outside didn't even know she existed. Just like when you're screaming at the TV, but your favorite sports team still doesn't win. Her bad luck wasn't done yet. The ghost soldier appeared once more, grabbing her leg and pulling her down again. This time, she couldn't escape. He dragged her into the depths and killed her. All that could be heard were her final, terrifying screams as the darkness swallowed her. And that was the fate of Sonia and her friends. Little did they know when they first set out that they would never return. They thought they were going on an adventure, but instead, they met their doom in a place they knew nothing about. What started as fun turned into the biggest mistake of their lives, leading them to their tragic deaths. As for the soldier's ghost, he had likely been trapped in the tunnels during World War II, never finding a way out. His body may have died there, but his spirit stayed behind, hungry for vengeance. Now, he attacks anyone who dares to enter the tunnels, killing them and feeding on their souls to satisfy his eternal hunger. And with that grim ending, the movie comes to a close, leaving us all with a chilling reminder. Never venture into the unknown without knowing what lies ahead. Just like when you try a new recipe without reading the reviews, things can go terribly wrong.